And welcome to episode 110 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean Ani, Director of Operations, and I'm joined by Executive Editor Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
Yes, folks, it has been a day or two since we had a chance to do this show, and I apologize for that. We've been a little busy, as you may have noticed, with the launch of what we refer to as TB4. Joey and I did sneak in a episode on The Last Jedi because it's Star Wars. Of course, I set everything aside for that. But we're back and feeling good. For those of you that may have taken a look at the channel page, you'll also see that we updated the graphics for this channel and for the podcast. So everything is now cohesive with the TechnoBuffalo 4 look. Not much else to say about it. John released a video earlier this week explaining everything that went into the building of TB4, and it's been a long process.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a long process. It's been the last 7 months of my life. What was funny was, everyone's like, "Oh, this is so amazing, so new." I'm like, I've been looking at it for 7 months. I'm already tired of it.
Yeah, you're like, but you don't want to build TB5 yet, right?
The developer, the main developer I work with, we were already joking that Sunday night he and I were on a Skype call during the launch, and I was like, "So when do we start our notes on TB5?" He's like, "Just go away." So,
well,
yeah,
it's great, and it seems like feedback's been pretty good.
Yeah, feedback has been good, and there's still a few little tweaks to be done. So, we are listening to everything everyone's saying. We did do some testing, but of course there's a bit of a difference when there's 20 people looking at a site and then there's hundreds of thousands of people looking at a site.
Right.
So we have heard some things. There was one ad that on mobile that we're still trying to figure out why it's firing the wrong size, which was not in the plans.
Did you see somebody on YouTube commented, "When are you guys going to have a dedicated TechnoBuffalo Show podcast?"
I saw you guys talk about that in the chat room yesterday, and I just decided to completely ignore it.
I think that's for, I think there's a probably pretty big number of our audience that isn't completely aware all the time that we have a site on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that a podcast exists or that there's a staff.
Yeah. I mean, we're only on the 110th episode of this show. So
this one.
Yeah.
2 shows before?
Well, there was one show before, Tech on the Range, and then we changed to the TechnoBuffalo Show. Mm-hmm. So we're at 200 some podcasts at this point. And,
that's okay. We forgive him.
From Jeff Kelly, Holy Bearded Batman. Yes, I've grown my winter beard for.
I was like, is that new? I think that's new. I wasn't sure.
No, I usually start growing it when I go on my UK vacation. And, before I go to Toy Fair in a couple weeks, I'll trim it up. But yes, otherwise, well, no, I'm not getting rid of it. I'm just going to
just trim it down,
clean it up. If you could see me in high definition, you would see there's stray whiskers going in odd directions. But nice. So we are back, and again, apologies to everyone. We did take a longer break than we expected, but it simply became Todd went to CES, then I was working on TB4, and then Todd had meetings, and I was still working on TB4, and Todd
was at a wedding and came back,
and Sean was still working on TB4.
We're back though.
We're back. So very happy to be back. Couple things, of course, to go over this week. Of course, the big one being that Apple earnings came out.
Yeah.
And, once again, it's time to get out the shovels and dig the grave for the iPad. It only sold 11 million units. I mean, clearly the iPad is dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know the units. I didn't bring up the article on top of my head, but it's hard. We were just talking about this before the show. Yeah, the iPad sales are continuing to drop, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's dead." But still, however million units Apple is selling, it doesn't mean the iPad's dead. And actually, one of the really interesting, there were a lot of interesting things in this report. First, and I wrote an article on this yesterday. I back at right before CES, I guess, or something like that. Last month, December, I wrote, Apple's lost, because it just hasn't been playing much in the space of like AR, VR, and like for largely, I felt like iOS and the iPhone didn't really change. And with the Macs, they haven't updated them. And the MacBook Pro, they just added like a touch bar that doesn't really make sense or whatever. And so I was like, Apple's lost, right? And then they come out with this crazy quarter where they're like, record quarterly iPhones sold, record revenue for Mac, record revenue for services, which is like iTunes and the App Store and Apple Music. And in fact, that services business itself, Tim Cook said sometime this year, should be the revenue should be the size of its own Fortune 100 company, which is incredible. And then, and the interesting thing, so, and this is I'm coming back to the iPad thing. The interesting thing was Mac sales, and remember, they haven't even updated the iMac and the Mac Pro, the desktop stuff. Mac sales were up like 100,000 units, which isn't a lot, but it was a record quarter for revenue of Mac sales. And what that tells us is, maybe people aren't buying all kinds of new computers, or maybe sales aren't increasing all that much, but Apple's still able to generate a ton of money off these things. So you could look at iPads, maybe eventually, maybe down the line. And I think the sales are still double that of Mac, and you're like, oh, sales are down, but if Apple's still able to generate record revenue of anything, then I think it's a successful product, and you don't have to worry so much about like refreshes or saying, where is it? Consumers need this, because they're still making more money than they ever had, despite not having these new products. And the other thing is Apple announced that Apple Watch revenue was a record. And I felt like in general, I mean, I bought the Apple Watch too, but I felt like in general, it was like, it's kind of, who cares? It's not that big of a product. Is anybody buying wearables? Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, it was popular during the holiday quarter, which is what these figures represent. Tim Cook said they couldn't build enough of them. So,
yeah,
and he didn't give figures on sales, but so that's another interesting thing. In that category, which is other, which includes Apple Watch sales, also includes Apple TV, Beats sales, third-party accessories and stuff like that. That whole clump was actually down in revenue for the quarter, which suggests that if the Apple Watch had record revenue, then something else wasn't performing well. And maybe it was Beats. My guess was maybe Apple TV didn't sell that well. Who knows? But the thing is, like, if I was an investor, I'd look at that and say, like, oh, well, at least they made the Apple Watch because it's offsetting, decline in sales of other products.
Right. And I mean, well, you think about Beats, okay, so you got rid of the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on the iPhone, but yet you have a whole line of headphones that use a 3.5 millimeter.
Some of them, well, they're moving them to the W1 chip.
Yeah, I know, but I could understand if Beats was down. Yeah, and again, we don't know for sure it was Beats.
Right. Yeah, we don't.
But Apple TV, as somebody who cut the cord, and I used just about every streaming box on the market, and the Apple TV just does not excite me.
Yeah, it's still frustrating. It's actually my primary box on 2 TVs now, because I got one free, one quote unquote free, when I signed up for DirecTV Now and paid for 3 months or whatever. And now I'm just kind of like, okay, I start watching a show on my iPad or iPhone. I continue on the TV. Like, it's kind of a nice handoff. But I'm with you. I usually preferred Roku, then Android TV. I still love the NVIDIA Shield. And another topic for another day. I use that for streaming PC games. And then I would say, let's see, I'd go Roku, Android TV, then I guess maybe Apple TV, right? I'd probably put Chromecast before Apple TV, really. But yeah, I'm with you. And I think maybe that's why sales, I don't know. I'm guessing sales.
The only thing I really use my Apple TV for is streaming my iTunes movies to a television. That's about the extent of it. I just don't get that excited about the Apple TV, but I find it hilarious. Everyone writes the headline. iPad sales are down. Yes, this is fact. iPad sales are down. They still sold 11 million units.
Yeah, something. I
mean, there's a lot of companies that would give their eye teeth to sell 11 million of anything in a quarter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just don't get that worked up about the whole iPad sales thing. It's not a product that you need to upgrade that often.
Yeah, and as an iPad owner, I have the iPad Pro 9.7. It's also, it's a great product. You don't need to upgrade it often. like I feel like I'm gonna have it for at least 2-3 years. You know, like you do with most iPads, maybe more. And so it's like, okay, you know, it's not a product you're going out there like buying the latest one, like maybe you would an iPhone, which I do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've got John actually loaned me his larger iPad Pro, so I've never purchased an iPad Pro. I plan on buying the second generation, you know, and then I can finally give John back his, you know. But that'll be the first iPad I've bought in ages.
Yeah,
You know, and I have to admit, I made fun of the larger iPad. I have a hard time going back and using a smaller iPad now.
Really, I haven't used the 12.9. I've seen it. I just have my regular 9.7. But you know, the other thing is the iPad also, sales were down a little bit, but it also is probably able to sell like 11 million units or whatever the figure was, because there wasn't much competition from anybody else. I mean, there's a Surface line, right, from Microsoft, which is probably coming up to it's probably the closest competition, but it's also, I think, still largely viewed as like a computer, and an iPad, while it can, for a lot of people, like students and, you know, enterprise in some ways, replace a computer, it's very much like you're still buying a tablet, right? But when you think about tablets in general from, you know, Android makers, there hasn't been much out there to compete with it. And in fact, that's why I was saying next month at Mobile World Congress, I guess Samsung's going to show up, not with the Galaxy S8, though they might tease it, but with the Galaxy Tab S3. And I was like, oh, you know, this is interesting again, because there was a time there where there were so many Android tablets that it was just like, I don't care about these things. Like, they're all the exact same, you know?
Yeah.
And so like you care about like maybe the Nexus 9, Samsung's Galaxy Tab S2. The Galaxy View was not a tablet per se. It was that big, like, you know, you could portable tablet TV thing that you moved around. And so I think Samsung it's probably a good idea to bring back like an Android tablet premium that people might want to actually buy. So I'm kind of excited to see what that's like. But maybe that's another reason too why I mean, Apple's able to sell despite the decrease so many iPads.
Yeah, exactly. The Android tablet market has definitely had a shakeout, which I always felt it was going to. You know, there was too many of them on the market. It was just insanity. And it's been nice.
And they were all the same except for like different skins, which all made them worse than if they didn't have a skin. You're just like, oh man.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a good thing that the market shook out finally, and now we can actually get excited about Android tablets.
You know what I get excited about too? A new Android, a new NVIDIA Shield tablet. The last one was a K1, and that was just simple refresh, but I love that thing.
Yeah, it's nice to be excited about those because, you know, unlike when it seemed like every day there was a new Android tablet. You know, now it's actually back to being somewhat of an event.
Yeah.
You know, I think that needed to happen. It was unbelievable how many Android tablets were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice to see things have shaken out a bit. And then the other topic we wanted to get to this week, I see we have a ton of questions coming in. We're going to devote a lot of the show to questions this week. You wanted to talk about the Huawei Mate 9 for a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. I wrote an article yesterday about, I said my favorite Android phone right now is not the Pixel. It has been for a little while, the Mate 9, which is right here. I grabbed it at CES. They handed out review units, and this is different. We had the international one. It's slightly different. I think the software is a little more catered to the US. It'll have Amazon Alexa on it at some point. It hasn't gotten the update. But in any case, it was my first time like really getting to spend, you know, a long time with a Huawei flagship, and I'm really liking it. I admit, like, I changed some things. I changed the launcher. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I changed a lot of the default apps. I had been using Google Now as a launcher, but in any case, the screen's awesome and it's 1080p. And I think the only thing I don't like about it is that I can't use it with Google Daydream VR, which I like following along with. I've had a lot of fun with that. But otherwise, it's got the stereo speakers, metal body, pretty decent camera. Not as good as the Pixel, which is probably one of the things that kind of bums me out. But they did work with Leica on it to, I guess, tune it. I don't know, expandable storage, it's fast. It's just, I think it's one of those phones that sort of is sliding under the radar. It's launching in the U.S. and I think it's available now. And I think most people will be like, meh, like I don't care about it, but it's actually really cool. And I think it's worth people's time. But I did say in the article, and I stand by this. Let's wait. You probably don't want to buy a new smartphone yet. I would wait until after Samsung unveils the Galaxy S8. Maybe it's in March or April. And we know what the G6 is from LG in February at Mobile World Congress and stuff like that, and then kind of weigh your options and see which one to buy. But this is a great phone, and it kind of surprised me how much I like it.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And I'm excited to see them really start to enter the US market. Let's get more competition out there, because right now it really does feel like it's just I know LG's out there and things like that, but it really does feel like it's just the Samsung and Apple market.
Yeah. At the premium end, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, at the premium end. So I want to see more players come into the US market. I hate when we write up these great phones and it's like, and not available in the US.
Yeah. which happens a lot.
I know there's foreign markets, that well, we don't get your TV shows, we don't get your movies. Yes, I understand that. But I live in America, blasted. We're supposed to have everything. So it'll be interesting to see Huawei really, hit the ground running here. Although I wonder how many different pronunciations we will hear of their name. Like I used to call it 500 different things before I finally got yelled at enough to learn how to properly pronounce it.
But they're making a big push. They have I forget the guy's name. Who's the guy that used to be in the Apple commercials and when they were like the Windows nerd and he was the cool Apple nerd.
Oh, I can't. I just read his name yesterday and he's in a lot of Kevin Smith movies. I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Well, is it Jason something? I don't know. He's now like the face of Huawei, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah. So it's gonna be. I like how he keeps getting tech jobs because he used to play Mac. But anyway.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm a Mac tech guy. Yeah.
So let's jump into the questions because there's a ton of them coming in, and I'm going to take one of them head on first here. And I've seen a lot of this about the site. Why did we switch from discuss to Facebook comments?
Oh yeah.
Two big reasons we did that. Number one was the spam problem, which I do see you guys saying that, the one troll is still lurking around. Number two was also, it does help us out on Facebook because if you're using Facebook comments, it does help with promotion of your site on Facebook. They show preferential treatment to you. It's not a big surprise. So those were the two big reasons. We do understand, a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want my personal information out there. I get that. But, Discuss was turning into a cesspool. And to be blunt, they weren't real hip on helping us. They weren't offering us better spam tools. They weren't, we contacted them, I don't know how many times about, what can we do? And they're like, well, you're just kind of on your own. And there was just no support going on there. We did look at other commenting systems. We looked at like Livefire and a couple others, and we just finally settled on Facebook comments.
Yeah. Also, the people that are saying like you prefer to remain anonymous, like I respect that, but on the other hand, there were so many people coming to our articles and like bashing us because they were able to like sit behind a curtain of anonymity, or bashing other people. And like now, you really can't do that. And it's like, oh, here's your real name, and I'm sitting there posting under my real name with my opinions, and I think it's a two-way street. I think it works a little better that way, and maybe people will double. They're going to think twice before saying really mean or nasty things because it's their name. Like let's have an actual conversation.
Yeah, I really find it funny on my personal website, which has my name on it. I mean, that's the URL. Mm-hmm. And it just kills me, when people come in and anonymously slam something I've written. I'm like, you know what? At least I have the guts to really, really own everything that is said on this site. There is no question that I stand behind it. And yes, I get that people want to stay anonymous, but people, unfortunately, the bad apples ruined it for everybody. And that's just what we decided to do. If it's, we can't switch out commenting systems down the road if we feel the need to. That's one of the beautiful, beautiful things about TB4. We really, really modularize this thing. So we're like, now I have a full control panel in the back end. If an ad is acting up, I just go in there, I flip a switch, and it's turned off. I don't have to contact anyone to push code or do anything like that. I can move things around on the fly. It's amazing how much more control we have over the site with TB4, which was one of the big things and part of the reason it took so long to code this thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we do hear you about the Facebook comments. We are keeping an active eye on it, and we're just going to go with this for a while, and we're going to see where it takes us, basically. But we do hear you guys, and we are listening. Of course, because we've been gone for so long, David Nunez has the most important question of the day. Todd, what have you returned lately?
What have I returned? Oh, I have a funny story. I guess it's funny. Last weekend or 2 weekends ago, we had a TV on my mantle in the living room, and it was a little small for the space. So Best Buy had a sale, and I ended up going and getting I went to the store and I was like, oh, here's I think it was like a 43-inch Vizio or something, the original one. Or no, a Toshiba. I don't know. It was an open box TV on sale. Great price. Brought it home, didn't power on, returned it. So then my wife goes back with me, and I'm like, oh, it's 4K, but at that, at the price and stuff like that, maybe we're gonna get a better screen quality and stuff. We just get like a Samsung 1080p at the same price, same size and stuff. So we get that, and I bring it home, and on my mantle there's an outlet, and the stand covers the outlet, so I can't plug it in. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, how did I miss this? And the whole time I'm trying to measure the stand so that it actually fits on the mantle. Anyway, so then I take that back, and I ended up with a Vizio 43-inch that actually works. But anyway, it was a long day of returns. It literally took us like 4 hours of back and forth to Best Buy.
I hate days like that. There was a similar vein. We were replacing a toilet in our house, and I think by the end of the day, we'd made 5 trips to Home Depot and gone through 9 toilets because they all were damaged out of the package.
Yeah, it's stuff like that.
Oh God, that was one annoying day. For those of you that keep referring to it TB5 in the comments, no, it's TB4. TB5 is next, and hopefully years away. David Nunez, if you want to get a hold of me on Twitter, I'd love to talk to you about this. He's commenting that TB4 is stopping audio on his Nexus 5X. So I would love to talk to you about that. If you want to direct message me, Sean Piani at Twitter. I would love to get some more information from you about that. Let's see here. I'm also glad to see you guys are all having a nice friendly chat in the chat room. From Sachin Bahal, have you guys used the NVIDIA Shield TV, either the 2015 model or the new 2017 model? I have. Have you, Todd?
I have a 2015 model. Yeah, I love it. And I kind of want the 2017. There's just no reason. Yeah. I guess my 4K TV is a reason, but I don't know.
I think the hardware on the NVIDIA Shields is amazing. Android TV does not do it for me.
See, I like Android TV, and my wife prefers Android TV to Apple TV.
Oh, no, between those two, definitely.
Just not Roku. And like I wrote an article about this, like 5 reasons you should dive back into PC gaming, and one of them was talking about NVIDIA Game Stream, and I bought GTX 1060 recently, video card, and it's really fun. I have it in my PC upstairs, and like down here or wherever I can play. I have the Shield right next to me. I can play PC games if I wanted to. I didn't bring like my mouse and keyboard down and stuff, but it's really neat and it works well. And then like when I was at my brother's wedding, I had about 6 hours myself in the afternoon one day. So I fired up my tablet and started playing games from here, which is really cool. So the Shield supports all that. I don't know. That's why I like it. But I didn't find the new one. I didn't buy yet because I guess like the big change would be 4K support, and Google Assistant and stuff like that would be neat too. But 4K, and I literally just bought the TV, and I haven't really found much of a reason to be watching 4K content. I don't know. I can't. There's not that much out there. So not really.
You know, that's the thing about 4K. Everyone's like, "Oh, 4K is coming. Oh, there's 4K content." Yeah, if I want to sit there and watch yet another video about nature,
Yeah.
yes, there's lots of 4K content. You know, it was funny the other day. They tweeted out a picture. They began filming the Han Solo Star Wars movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it said on the resolution 6K.
Yeah.
And okay, that's great. That means there can be a true 4K version of it, you know, for home use. That's awesome. Honestly, the first thing that ran through my head was, if you aren't shooting 8K right now, you're already behind.
Yeah, right.
You know, because you know the 8Ks are coming. I mean, how many times have we seen 8K demos at CES?
Right.
You know, so yeah, awesome. They're shooting 6K. Did not future-proof.
Yeah. The other thing is too, I mean, maybe I'm blind, but I'm not. Like, I load up, I'll go through like Netflix, right? You search 4K, so I'll put like Marco Polo on my TV, and I'm like watching it, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I got a crappy set. I'm like, I don't really see the difference. Like, what am I? I guess I can stand closer, and it's like.
Well, and the other thing is you're streaming it.
Yeah,
you know,
right, exactly.
So there's a lot of network potential for things going wonky there.
Right. Yeah. So then I don't know. Maybe I should get something like, I guess I get a 4K Blu-ray player or something. I don't know. Like,
but do you really need it? That's the thing.
No, that's what I'm saying. Then I'm just like, what's the point?
I mean, honestly, 4K gives my eyes a bit of a strain because it's so clear.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I don't want to go back to 480, but I'm pretty happy at 1080.
Yeah, same here. I feel like that's, and I'm usually watching from probably like 10, 12 feet away. So,
yeah. From Jeff Kelly, Sean, what have you bought lately? Any new toys for your shelves? Yeah, there's one or two new things up there. You can't really see them on the camera, but yeah, there's one or two new things up there. That's part of the fun, is that I'm going to be switching stuff out every so often. So just keep an eye back there. Things will move around. Let's see here. From Brazen Franco, dark mode for TB4.1, maybe. That's actually been discussed.
Really?
Yeah, we have discussed dark mode. It was we got to a certain point with TB4 that, you know, if we kept it, we could have delayed it a couple more months because we just kept getting more and more ideas, and we finally got to a point where we're like, this is it. We're cutting it off, and so we do have a list of what we're calling post-launch possible additions, and dark modes on that list to be explored. So possible. I'm not promising anything because, of course, we always have to see how things work. You would not believe the issues we had with getting text on images in TB4, and we're still trying to get it smoothed out. But it's not super easy to just whip out a site, unfortunately. Good grief. Let's see here. And now, because I mentioned that they were being friendly, they're starting to curse at one another. From David Nunez, could you give me a suggestion for a new smartwatch to replace my Pebble Round? I use a Nexus and an iPad Mini 4 with it. Thanks.
Yeah, wait. I think it's supposed to be like a week from today. February 9th is a rumor for the LG Watch Sport and Watch Style. They're supposed to be Android Wear 2.0 devices. I would wait for those just to see what they offer, what the new features are. It sounds like Google Assistant's going to be part of it. I mean, Android Wear 2.0 has been in testing through developers. We know it's going to support iPhone, like all kinds of stuff for a long time. But I think they're going to have some surprises in there, at least if I had to guess. So I would just wait another week and then even wait through Mobile World Congress at the end of this month, because I think we're going to see Huawei and others maybe bring some more. It's weird though, because about just not even a year ago, I think it was after maybe Mobile World Congress last year, which would be a year ago, or maybe even IFA, CNET had the report. They talked to a bunch of people and they were like, we're not going to build, we're going to wait and see what Android Wear is doing. We're not going to build new stuff. LG was one of them, oddly enough, and now they're going to lead the way with Android Wear 2.0. and Motorola and them. So there might not be a huge selection, but I would at least wait till the end of this month and see what happens.
Yeah, I think with MWC, quickly approaching, I wouldn't buy anything mobile right now, mobile or wearable. Just like Todd
because you're
said,
going to miss out. Yeah, you're going to miss out on some stuff like the Galaxy S8 is probably, it sounds like it might be one of the first devices with the gigabit LTE support with Snapdragon 835. So as all these wireless networks in the US start rolling that out the next couple of years or whatever, you're going to want a device that can tap into that, because it's a difference between, sitting here and getting 10 megabits per second down and like getting a gigabit, 900 megabits per second. Like, it's going to be a huge leap. So stuff like that, I would just kind of, there's not going to be other devices probably with Snapdragon 835 for a while, because it sounds like Samsung grabbed the whole batch of them from Qualcomm. But that kind of thing, you want to just see what happens at Mobile World Congress before you do anything right now.
Yeah, 100%. Apparently, there's also now talk of a dance-off happening after school, so everyone be prepared for that. From Jeff Kelly, guys, I got a Google Home. I like it more than Echo. I'm not saying her name because she's right behind me. I didn't think I would. Which do you all prefer? I have not had a chance to use a Home yet.
I bought the Home too, and I use it. So I have Echoes in 3 rooms in my house, in the Home in 1 room that also has an Echo, and I use the Home all the time. I don't know. I don't have to yell at it, for one, which I like, and I don't know. I've defaulted to playing music on Google Home. It's nice because I can say like, oh, play music videos on my TV or play music on my TV. And yeah, I don't know. I like it.
Todd, as I warned you, UPS is pulling up outside. So I will leave you with the question here. I can't find a question right this second. They're getting out of the truck. Think of something. I will be right back.
He's just leaving me out to dry. All right, let's go to Amazon, Echo, and Google Home. I think when you look at both of them, ultimately, I guess you're trying to look for third-party support. And so initially, when Amazon Echo launched and was out for a year or whatever, it had a big leap ahead of Google Home. It still does. I feel like even this week, Starbucks, right, announced that you can order coffee from your Echo from home using your voice. So you could say like, Alexa, order me my Starbucks, and then go pick it up. And you like all these app developers, whatever, are making them for Alexa and Echo first and not Google Home. But I think slowly but surely we're seeing a lot of third-party support added to Google Home. And the cool thing is you don't have to go into an app like you do on Echo and turn on these functions and know the commands. I guess you eventually have to learn the commands, but you could just say like, play the latest news from NPR or whatever, and Google Home will do that. You don't have to go into an app and turn it on. But it is sort of on the user to try to discover what it's capable of doing. And I think Google could probably do a better job of like, issuing monthly updates or something. Like, here are all the new things you can do with Google Home, because largely I feel like people are always talking about the new things you can do with Alexa versus Home. But in general, I felt like in my living room, always back, the comparisons like between speaker quality and stuff like that. Maybe Alexa's a little better, but Google Home is no slouch at all. I actually think it sounds really good. I don't know.
Of course, I knocked over a huge pile of empty boxes to go out to the garbage. So.
Well, I was just talking about the comparisons between Google Home and Alexa, and largely about like how Alexa, you kind of have to go in and turn on the apps, and like the functions. And I think that's good and bad. It's like you have to go in and like discover what you can do, but on the other hand, and turn it on. On the other hand, Google Home it's on automatically, but you don't always know the command. So like Google has to do a better job telling you like, this is what. And like the other thing is, all these companies like Starbucks this week announced, oh, you can order coffee through Alexa or your iPhone, but not Google Home.
Right.
So
like we said, it's another freaking platform war.
Yeah.
It's my mother on her cell phone uses OK Google constantly. Mm-hmm. And so I mentioned to her the other day, I was like, we could get a Google Home and then you would just speak to her. She's like, no, we have echoes. You know?
Yeah.
That's it. We're done. You know, I was like, okay, fine. But there's a part of me that really wants to get a home to try it out. You know,
yeah, it's good. I mean, I feel like if you use Android and you use Chrome and you use Android tablets or whatever, and Android Wear, and like might as well stay in the ecosystem, get a Google Home. I think it doesn't yet. It's not yet very seamless with all of those, but I think that's obviously the idea is like bring all of those together, the Google Assistant across all these devices. And I hope Google does that versus like this disjointed version of Google Now and Google Assistant and Siri on your Apple Watch and Siri on your TV and Cortana on your computer and like everything. It's just like,
yeah, it's nuts.
that's why I actually wrote an article last week saying, you know, like these platforms, these AIs or whatever, they need to be on every platform. You have to have Siri on PC and Siri on Android and Google Now on PC and Google Now on iOS. And I guess Google Now is sort of an iOS. But like all these things, they need to be everywhere we are because these platforms don't work unless you're like in a specific, very specific ecosystem. And even then they don't work very well together.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is the infancy of this smart home market, you know, and at some point though, they're just like in every other industry in technology, there's going to have to be a shakeout. People are going to have to figure out, you know, what exactly we're doing with this, you know. But like you were saying with Google Home, you don't know the commands. It's not easy going through the Echo skills list, you know.
Yeah, and you got to remember them all too.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm sorry, I don't know. The other day I was like, how do I get Pandora to play? I was like just yelling random things at her until she finally did it. Yeah.
And Google Home's actually, to its credit, it's good at that. You could say like, oh, play. Actually, Alexa might work this way too. Yeah, it does. You know, you just say like, play Goo Goo Dolls on Spotify or whatever, and it'll play it there. But you know what stinks? Like when you go to Siri, though, you can't do that. And that's what the other thing. Like Siri's got to open up to third parties. Like it's ridiculous. I mean, when you like the only reason I subscribe to Apple Music is so I can like say, "Hey Siri, play this" when I'm driving or something. And that's ridiculous. Like I should be able to say, "Hey Siri, play this on Spotify."
Totally.
She just answered me.
From Sachin Bahal, did you guys hire a web developer to work on TB4? And are you guys still using WordPress as your CMS for TB4? Yes, we're still using WordPress. It's the same install WordPress. We updated it, but yeah, it's still WordPress. As for the web developer, we've had a web developer on retainer for years now. I think I've been working with him for 6 years or so. And he was the same guy that built the original version of TB3. He did not do a lot of the updates, which is where TB3 started to get messy. But TB4, one thing that we decided to do was we rebuilt from code zero, which meant that we threw out all the code from TB3 so that we could start completely fresh. Because when we tried doing things to TB3, we would go to different developers and say, can you build us this? And they would look through our code base and go, I don't know what touches what. And so TB4 was built completely to industry standards. It's completely fresh. Everything is unbelievably documented. That was another thing that added a lot of time to the whole process. So it's pretty much like starting over. It's refreshing, but it was very tiring for 7 months. I don't want to go through this again anytime soon.
Yeah.
From David Nunez, would you suggest buying an iPhone SE right now for us people with small hands? No.
Yeah.
Simply because we're hearing rumors of an update finally.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd honestly wait on everything except for like an iPhone because that's not going to be updated till September. But if Apple does another SE update, then that would stink. But like if you're not worried about the update, yeah, it's a cool phone. It's a good phone.
Yeah.
And it's small.
And I still think you should always go with big phones because who cares about hand size? From Jeff Kelly, Sean got his mail order bride. Nah, that she was broken in shipment. I returned her. This would be a fun project. Brazen Franco mentions, as a side project, would any of you attempt to build a DIY smart bathroom mirror with Google Home or Echo incorporated in it? I keep saying Echo instead of the A word because, again, she's right behind me. I think that would be awesome because, it was funny because just last night when I was taking a shower, I was like, I really kind of wish I had an Echo in this room.
Yeah. I have a speaker in my bathroom. I should probably move the Echo in there, though. That's a good idea.
But incorporating it into the mirror would be
and
really
there's like smart mirror projects you can do with the Raspberry Pi and stuff I've seen, but I don't know. I mean, and I've seen other people who really know what they're doing do that kind of stuff. I would buy one. If somebody just made one, I'd go buy it. I don't know if I want to do it myself.
The strangest thing, it was the first time I ever. Have you ever encountered a heated mirror in a bathroom?
I don't think so. Maybe in nicer hotels, but not that I was aware of.
I was staying at a hotel in Tokyo, and that was the first time I encountered it. It was a hotel I was staying at in 2001, and I got out of the shower. I was like, why is there a large, 12-inch size square of the mirror that has got no fog on it?
Wow, that's cool, yeah.
I could not. I was like, it's awesome, but I couldn't figure it out. Then I finally figured it out. But, hey. We're going to close out the show. I've been wanting to talk about this for weeks because, and Todd, you're going to know where I'm going in half a second. I bought a new printer.
Yeah.
The reason I bought a new printer is I've had the same color laser printer for 3 or 4 years now. And I don't print a ton, but I do print pretty consistently. And it was finally time for replacement toner. Then I went and priced the toner. And it was going to run me $550. I was like, that's insane. So I looked at printers and I found a really nice new color laser printer from HP. I've got it in my office. It's across the room. Fastest printer I've ever had. So as soon as I got it, I was like, all right, now let's take a look and see how much toner cartridges are going to cost me when I need to replace them in this one.
Mm-hmm.
It will cost me $50 more than the printer to buy toner cartridges.
Which is nuts because when it comes to ink and stuff, in the past, I know they sell their printers, but they don't have full, I mean, it might say it's full, but they don't have the full cartridge of ink. And so that's why, you go back and the ink's more expensive than the actual printer, but then it's supposed to last you longer. But you said you didn't even replace these cartridges, and this is laser, for several years anyway.
Yeah,
right?
On the printer I just replaced, I never replaced the cartridges,
which is incredible because the ink problem I get, because you're after 2 months or whatever, you're all right, now I got to go buy ink, and you're I'm not going to buy a new printer because I just didn't have ink in it. Yeah,
but it would be cheaper for me to buy this printer again and just tear the toner cartridges out. Why this bothers me is I do think about my e-waste. You know, I try to be responsible with my stuff. I don't throw anything electronic out in the trash. I try to take it to recycling, responsibly get rid of it. I'm creating so much e-waste because it's so much cheaper for me to just buy a printer than it is for me to buy toner cartridges.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm curious why it is. Maybe it's focused on enterprise sales and stuff like that, or subscription sales for toner. But
well, yeah, I mean, most of the printers I bought have labeled as enterprise level,
right?
I that's just, I print a lot of stuff, so I want something that's going to be able to withstand it. I've tried consumer level printers, and they were always a pain in the behind. Yes, Jeff, I know this is a completely random rant. Live with it. The problem was I've wanted to do this rant for several weeks, but we kept delaying the show. I'm just I still want to talk about printers.
My damn printer. I don't even have a printer. I don't use a printer. The only time I need I'll go to a print shop or something, and that's probably 3 times a year.
Oh no, that's a Brazen mentions. Might as well do it, Sean. Printers, step motors are great components for projects. That's something I had not thought about. I could scavenge parts out of these printers for other projects. Of course, that would mean I'd have to have time to do the other projects, but which I never have time. My treadmill was having problems. They ended up sending me a new motor twice, so I have 2 4-horsepower motors laying around my office. I'm like, I should recycle these.
All the kids go or something.
I'm like, I have 2 4-horsepower motors now. I might want to hold on to these. Who knows why?
Yeah.
But I might need them someday. Anyway, well, that is going to bring this episode to a close, and we will be back next week. We are talking about somewhat of a change in the style of the show. I don't want to say anything yet because we're still ironing it out, but fundamentally the show will be the same, but we're just feeling with the change of TB3 to TB4, maybe it's also time to freshen up everything to do with TechnoBuffalo. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll let you guys know what's going on. But as always, we do appreciate if you go and find us on the iTunes store and leave us a 5-star review. That does help the show immensely. You can also subscribe to the show there. You can also find us on Pocket Casts. You can find us in the Google Play Store. You can subscribe via RSS feed, or you can find us on the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Pretty much anywhere there are podcasts, you will find the TechnoBuffalo Show. Until next time, I'm Sean Ani. I'm the Director of Operations. I've been joined by Executive Editor Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody.
Till next time, take it easy, guys. Bye-bye.